Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez produced another dramatic sprint at Montmeló, taking the win but admitting he had already resigned himself to second before brother Álex crashed out of the lead. Speaking to the media, Márquez described two late saves, one with his elbow, and balanced joy at victory with sympathy for Álex, who he called the weekend's fastest. He also reflected on Ducati's constructor's crown, tire management, and the mental toll of racing at the sharp end. Ducati general manager Gigi Dall'Igna has vowed to try with all my strength to help Pecco Bagnaia recover from a slump that has left the double world champion adrift this season. Speaking after the Catalan sprint, Dall'Igna admitted there's no magic fix but insisted Ducati will keep working until they find a solution. Pecco Bagnaia endured another difficult Saturday at Montmeló, finishing 14th in the sprint after starting from 21st on the grid. The double world champion admitted the GP25 still doesn't feel right and confessed he's had to take excessive risks to stay competitive. While he refused to give up, his assessment was stark. I was dreaming of a step forward after Balaton. Instead, we're still struggling a lot. Fabio Quartararo delivered a strong response at Montmeló, converting a tricky Friday into a runner-up finish in Saturday's sprint behind Marc Márquez. The Yamaha rider credited track evolution, small electronic tweaks and careful tire management for the turnaround, but admitted the fight with Marquez was a tactical battle he partly expected to lose on the long straight. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez revealed he pulled off two last-ditch recoveries in the closing laps, including one where he used his elbow to stop a fall. That moment convinced him to back off slightly to preserve the bike and the result. At turn 7 I saved a crash with my elbow, and I understood that I had to ease off. Marquez's statement. The saves underline Marquez's racecraft, instinctive reactions that turn potential zeros into precious points. Despite celebrating victory, Marquez was candid about feeling bad for his brother, who had been fastest all weekend and looked certain to win before his mistake. Marc said he'd already thrown in the towel 2 laps earlier when he realized Álex was faster. I preferred to finish second and for Álex to win, but these are races. The win felt ambivalent, valuable for the championship but tinged with regret that it came via a brother's crash. Marquez emphasized tire life as a decisive factor. When the front or rear degrades, the bike's balance flips and mistakes become likelier. He stressed measured aggression, pick the right moments to push and manage tires for the finale. For Marquez, race intelligence and conservation are as important as outright speed, especially with championship maths in the background. Marc celebrated Ducati clinching the constructor's crown and acknowledged his outsized contribution to that success. Yet he also urged a return to stronger form from Pecco Bagnaia, noting a 2-rider factory performing at full strength helps development. I tried to give my all, but it would be good for Pecco to come back strong to help with development. Marc framed the title as a team achievement, while accepting the onus of delivering consistent results. Marquez argued confidence, not just experience, separates riders at the limit. He believes Alex's recent return from injury may cost him edge and that a loss of tension when leading can invite errors. For tomorrow's race, Marc plans to stay competitive without engaging in needless mid-race scraps. Álex is the favorite. I'll try to make it difficult for him but I won't get into stupid fights. The line between pushing and overreaching is thin. Marquez will aim to be there at the end when it matters most. Montmeló delivered drama and nuance. 2 instinctive saves, a win shadowed by a brother's crash, and a reminder that tire life, confidence, and calm judgment shape championship outcomes. Marquez leaves the sprint stronger in points and clearer in approach. His aim now is to close out the title while helping push teammates and the factory forward. Dall'Igna pushed back against talk of abandonment, framing the problem as one of persistent, solvable issues rather than defeatism. he dismissed the notion of throwing in the towel and promised sustained effort to get Bagnaia back to his best. Difficult is a bad word. Honestly, I'm not the type to throw in the towel. I will try with all my strength to help Pecco find a way to regain his feeling with the bike. The public line is designed to calm optics inside and outside the garage, reassure sponsors, staff and fans that the factory remains fully committed to its number one rider. Bagnaia's slide has been stark. A problematic Hungarian weekend was followed by an even worse Catalan showing, where he qualified 21st and finished well down the order in the sprint. That form gap has left engineers and riders searching for root causes rather than quick fixes. When a two-time champion sits outside the top 20, teams must evaluate setup windows, ergonomics, and psychological factors, not just incremental setup tweaks. Dall'Igna conceded there's no single answer ready to hand. If I had an answer, we would have done better today. He called for an objective review of what's been tried and a willingness to change direction if required. He stressed the need to objectively evaluate what has been done so far and find something different. That systematic, trial-and-error approach is the responsible response, even if it feels slow when results are desperately needed. Dall'Igna believes the differences between Marc Márquez's dominance and Bagnaia's woes are driven more by rider confidence than by a single technical failing. He pointed to Marquez's growing self-belief as a key factor in extracting performance from the GP25. In my opinion, it's more about the confidence you have in the bike. Marc's confidence is growing race after race. Confidence changes how a rider attacks a corner, manages tires and tolerates instability, which can make the same bike feel very different to two riders. By publicly committing resources and words of support, Dall'Igna has signaled both patience and urgency. The message is twofold: Ducati believes in Bagnaia, and the factory will do the hard work required to translate that belief into on-track speed. That combination, moral support backed by systematic engineering effort, is the classic recipe for recovery, but it demands time and disciplined iteration. Dall'Igna's intervention is part morale boost, part operational instruction, no surrender, but no shortcuts. Whether the solution is a technical reset, ergonomic change, or a confidence rebuild, Ducati has made clear it will keep hunting for answers until Bagnaia feels like a champion on the bike again. Bagnaia arrived hopeful after a confidence-boosting weekend in Hungary, but qualifying and the sprint delivered a familiar frustration. He described the result as exactly what he feared and conceded the setup didn't suit this track. Struggling. Like all season. I was dreaming of a step forward after Balaton. But as I said yesterday, it was difficult. When a rider who should be contesting the top 5 ends up outside the top 10, it signals a mismatch between expectations, setup, and on-track reality. Bagnaia said he's still running a setup similar to last year's Barcelona program, but the lap times tell a different story. He couldn't string together a clean 39's lap as he had before. He's also tried to stop comparing bikes and focus on what he has now. I don't want to compare any more bikes. Right now, it's the bike I have. Letting go of past performance is sensible, but it's harder to implement when the current package feels distant from a rider's comfort zone. Bagnaia admitted he's riding on the limit more than usual, flirting with crashes and burning the rear tire, a recipe for plummeting lap times. He reported repeated near misses and a loss of consistency over a sprint distance. I'm finishing the rear tire everywhere, going a second slower every lap. Today I risked crashing 7 times. High risk to chase pace quickly becomes self-defeating if tire degradation and confidence evaporate as a result. Bagnaia says he's tackling the weekend session by session, refusing to concede defeat and promising to keep searching for a fix. A top 10 would be a relief rather than a triumph, but he insists he'll keep trying. I'm a dreamer. I'll never give up. I'm not that kind of person. When confidence is low, pragmatic short-term goals can stabilize momentum and rebuild belief more reliably than grand proclamations. Bagnaia acknowledged Marc Márquez's result, noting that while Marc wasn't the fastest today, he won. He urged the team to study what Marc is doing with the same machine, underlining the awkward reality. The bike can be blisteringly quick in one garage and a puzzle in another. We just need to respect his work and see what he's doing, because he's riding very perfectly. The contrast inside the factory amplifies the urgency for tailored solutions that restore Pecco's ability to extract pace without extreme risk. Saturday at Montmeló left Bagnaia and Ducati with more questions than answers. The core issues are familiar: setup mismatch, tire management, and shattered confidence, but the consequence this weekend was painfully visible. Bagnaia's refusal to quit and his session-by-session plan offer a route back, yet the remedy will require both technical adjustments and a rapid restoration of feel if he's to return to the front. Quartararo said the circuit changed dramatically from Friday to Saturday, and that helped Yamaha's session-by-session revival. He underlined that nothing dramatic was done, just measured adjustments and better track conditions, yet the result felt important for team morale. The track improved a lot from Friday to Saturday. We made some adjustments to the electronics, but they're not very big changes. Small setup and electronic refinements, allied with improving grip, can flip a weekend quickly, and Quartararo's sprint showed that even limited gains can yield strong returns. The tire drop across the sprint was steeper than expected and forced riders into a trade-off between early aggression and late durability. Quartararo said he spent the opening laps fighting while trying to preserve his tires for the finish. At the beginning I had to fight, but the difficult thing was fighting and, at the same time, taking care of the tires. Managing tire life is often the deciding factor in short sprints as much as in the main race. Quartararo's approach was to extract early advantage without emptying his reserves. While the result is positive, Quartararo cautioned it isn't a wholesale step forward for the M1, more a psychological lift for the team. He wants to build repeated iterations of this performance rather than claim a permanent fix. Nothing represents a major step forward, but mentally for the team I think it's a great result. Confidence can be as contagious as data. A weekend like this can change the tone in the garage even if lap charts remain close. The top 3 scrap with Marc Márquez involved contact and tactical riding. Quartararo admitted he saw Marquez positioning for the slipstream and deliberately tried to deny him the easy run on the straight, knowing Marc was going to pass me on the straight. I didn't want him to pass me because I knew he was going to pass me on the straight, but I wanted to be there. The exchange underlines how racecraft and positioning can influence outcomes as much as raw speed. Quartararo picked his moments to defend, accepting some inevitability on the long drag. Quartararo expects a tougher Sunday after the Moto2 race and a longer run on mediums, but he and the team will chase repetition of Saturday's positives. The aim is incremental improvements and smarter tire work to stay competitive across race distance. If Yamaha can translate a one-day performance into consistent race pace, the Montmeló sprint may prove the start of steadier progress. Quartararo's second place was less a headline reinvention than a morale-boosting corrective. Better track conditions, careful electronics tuning and disciplined tire management combine to produce a result that restores belief. He knows the straight will favor Marquez, but by choosing when to defend and when to conserve, Quartararo made the sprint a showing Yamaha can build on.